Let's continue the conversation now with journalist and author Batya Ungar-Sargon and Foundation for Defense of Democracy's president, Cliff May. Thank you for being with us here today, both of you. Batya, I'd love to start with you. Do you think any military action in Iran serves to answer the question of whether or not it serves America first?
So first of all, thank you for that very beautiful opening, Will. You really nailed it. I think Secretary Marco Rubio put it really well in his confirmation hearings when he said that every decision made by this administration would be in response to asking three questions. Does this make America safer? Does it make America stronger? And does it make America more prosperous? And the way that you laid that out, Will, was exactly in response to those three questions. Obviously, supporting our ally defensively against a foe, I think, meets the standard of those three questions. Regime change, I think, obviously does not. And the question is, where is the line there? And I just completely agree with the vice president. President Trump has earned the right and earned the credibility to walk this fine line of being both pro-Israel, but always putting us and, of course, our troops first.
You know, the note on regime change needs to be explored, Cliff, because if we're being completely honest, that is what every party is discussing. That is what Israel is discussing, and that's what's being discussed by the United States. The question then becomes, is that worth the cost for America, any potential involvement for America? And we should recognize that we have been particularly bad at regime change and nation building over the last quarter of a century. But we have to answer the question for Americans. Is regime change in Iran America first?
Yeah, all good points by you, by Batya, certainly by J.D. Vance, by the president. I think the president is pursuing absolutely an America first policy here. He's letting Israel do what it can do as capably as it can, and it's showing itself to be very capable in terms of combating a common enemy. If the president decides he wants to take out Fordo, and I'm not sure he will, but at least when he's talking about it, nobody can say he's simply bluffing. He will decide to do that because this means no boots on the ground. This means no regime change necessarily. It means, what does it mean? It probably means a pilot goes, drops two bombs, as you've described, from a B-2, very big bombs, 30,000 pounds. And then he turns around and goes home to Missouri and has breakfast with his family in the morning. And what does he do by that? He stops this regime, which for 46 years has been shouting and chanting death to America, from getting the capability to make good on those threats with nuclear weapons and intercontinental ballistic missiles, which it has. Regime change is for the people of Iran to do, not for us to do. They may. I hope they do, and I certainly wish them well if they try.
Well, to that point, I don't want to be cavalier, and I don't want to slow walk the American people into a bluff that every party is trying to do something they are not. From the bank attacks to warning people to get out of Tehran, there is hope in the West, with the United States and with Israel, that the Iranian people will effectuate a regime change. So we need to acknowledge that. That is what is being worked on inside these two governments. Batya, you and I share a concern that from fentanyl crisis, lack of purpose, depression, middle-class jobs being lost, crisis at our border. There's tons of domestic issues that deserve the attention of our government that truly do serve the interests of Americans first. Is it your fear at all that by focusing some of our attention all the way across the globe to Iran, we take the eye off the ball of serving Americans here at home in America?
With any other president, I would say yes, absolutely. By the way, I'm not so sure President Trump wants regime change. The mullahs are very, very weak right now. And often it is in your interest to have a very weak regime as an enemy. The president just went to the Middle East, where he met with the Saudis, a foe of Iran. He went with Qatar, an ally of Iran, and the UAE, an ally of Israel. He is reimagining what the Middle East looks like, both in terms of foreign policy, but also all of those countries together promised $8 trillion of investment here at home. So I think in this president's mind, peace, global peace, peace in the Middle East that only he can bring in his mind, and I think that there's an argument that he's right about that, is very tied to domestic infrastructure, domestic investment, and prosperity for the American people. But it's a very important question, Will. I'm so glad you asked that, and we should all keep asking it.
Well, I appreciate.
Can I try to answer that a little bit, if I can, Will?
Quickly.
That is to say that a crippled Iran represents no threat to the U.S. And by the way, it represents no threat to Israel. It represents a threat to its own people. What is the alternative to a crippled Iran? Think about it from an America First point of view. If it's not defanged, then this Iran continues to make threats. It has nuclear weapons. It threatens to use them against the U.S. We have to try to contain it. It can at any time raise prices around the world, as it does by using proxies such as the Houthis to shut down shipping possibly in the Strait of Hormuz as well, by teaming up with other nuclear powers that it's very in an axis with, Moscow, China, North Korea. The alternative to not defanging China is not America First. It's quite the opposite.
Well, Cliff, Batya, I thank you. I appreciate the conversation. I feel confident that in my lifetime, there's never been another president that might be asking those questions here today. They're not approaching this ideologically or trying to export democracy or build another nation up in our own image, but actually asking the questions about what serves Americans. I appreciate the conversation.